Welcome back everyone to episode 2 of celebrating Kingdom Rush's 15th birthday. In case you missed out on the previous episode, in this series we'll be celebrating the 15th year anniversary since the original Kingdom Rush game came out. And the way that we're going to be doing that is that every single day I'm going to complete one new Kingdom Rush game until we make it through all of them. That's right, I'll be 100% completing every single one on their highest difficulty. That means beating every single stage, every single Iron Heroic challenge, and of course, getting every single achievement all on the highest difficulty of each game. Yesterday, we 100% completed Kingdom Rush 1. Today, we're going to be 100% completing Kingdom Rush Frontiers. Tomorrow, we're going to be 100% completing Kingdom Rush Origins, then the day after we're going to do Vengeance, and then the day after we're going to do Alliance. Now, you might be wondering, what about Kingdom Rush Genesis? You know, the 6th game in the series? And, well, unfortunately, I will not be completing that game. And the reason for that is because it's just simply not out yet. At the time that I'm recording this series, Kingdom Rush Genesis is just not out to the public yet. It hasn't been released in Steam, so, well, I just can't play it because I don't got access to the game. So if the game is out by the time that this video comes out, now you know why I'm not doing Kingdom Rush Genesis. With all that being said though, as I mentioned before, today we're going to be 100% completing Kingdom Rush Frontiers. As I mentioned, it's all going to be done on the hardest difficulty, but the one important rule that I want to mention just before we begin is that there's actually a big difference between the Steam version of each Kingdom Rush game and the mobile version of each Kingdom Rush game. But by far, the biggest difference between the two versions of the game is that on mobile, you have something called a gem shop, right? It's a shop where you can earn gems after completing each level, and then you can go into a shop and buy power-ups like gold bags, which give you more money when you use them, or ice staffs, which freeze every enemy on the screen when you use them, or fucking nukes, which just insta-kill every single enemy on the map when you use them, and so on and so on. These power-ups can vary a lot in terms of how OP they are and how much they cost. If you bought the games on Steam, however, you do not have access to this gem shop. It just simply doesn't exist. The gems are not a thing and the gem shop is not a thing. You also don't have access to the endless modes in each game, the way that the mobile players do. And the reason that I'm bringing all of this up is because every single game in this series holds up to that rule, right? Every single game follows that rule, with one exception. And as you could have guessed, that exception is Kingdom Rush Frontiers. Because for some reason, Kingdom Rush Frontiers is the only game in the series where both the Steam players and the mobile players have access to both the endless levels and the gems and the gem shop. And I'm bringing this up because I want to make a rule for myself to not use the gem shop at all, no matter how hard things get. And the reason for that is because using the gem shop kinda makes this game a little bit less about strategy and actually using your brain and stuff. Because with the gem shop, if I get stuck on any level in the game, the solution to it would just be to grind out gems and then buy a bunch of dynamites or a bunch of nukes or a bunch of gold bags and then just spam those power-ups and then just beat the level easily without using my brain. And I don't think that that would be really interesting or make for any great amazing content, so I will not be using the gem shop at all in this playthrough. Well, except for one very special occasion, where I actually will allow myself to use power-ups. But you will have to wait and see what that's all about. Before we get into all that madness though, let's just start the video and get on with our humble beginnings. Said humble beginnings happen over at Hammerhold, where apparently the city is under siege or something, and then Ulrich, our hero, sees that and he's like, oh my god, we're gonna get touched inappropriately without our consent, and then he fucking comes and rescues us or something. And then we win the level, and we place down a bunch of towers, and we get a couple of achievements like the homeowner or landowner or whatever the fuck the achievement's name is. I'm showing it on the screen right now, but anyways, we get this achievement, which was for placing a tower in every single available spot on a level, and we also get some other minor achievements like First Blood for killing our first enemy, and Fearless for skipping a certain amount of waves. But anyways, after we beat the level, this guy pulls up and Ulrich is like, he's right behind me, isn't he? Anyways, it turns out that this mysterious shadowy figure has the big ol' red gem that Vesnan had in the first game, and now he's evil too, and you best bet we gotta stop him. So we complete the Iron and Heroic challenges, which are just as easy as the main level, and we continue on our merry way to try to stop this young fella over here from destroying the world, or whatever the hell he wants to do. Our chase continues in level 2, where we find this little wacky portal right here, and do not worry about that portal whatsoever, because as much as it looks like it's going to give you an achievement if you click on it enough times, it's not going to give you an achievement. There's no achievement linked to it. And unfortunately for me, the first time I played this game, I spent like 15 minutes clicking on that portal just to find out the hard way that it serves absolutely no purpose. But anyways, outside of that portal, on this level, we also unlock level 2 towers, and we also unlock new enemies. Those enemies being these wolves right here, which aren't really tanky, but they can run pretty hastily through your defense. But thanks to our triple cannon setup and these few archer towers that were already here before we even started the level, the wolves stand absolutely no chance, and we managed to eliminate them pretty easily and beat this level as well. And the Iron and Heroic challenges weren't all that difficult either, so yeah, we beat those pretty well as well, I guess, and we're moving on to level 3. On level 3, we unlock level 3 towers, and this level was a bit more challenging than the last two, because it introduced a new type of enemy called the Immortal, and the Immortal is really tanky and takes a lot of damage, and when they die, they get revived into a mummy, which is pretty weak. A mummy is a pretty weak enemy, but still, it just makes them that more annoying. And the worst part about Immortals is that they get spammed on every level they show up in. So on top of all their tankiness and all that stuff, there's just a ton of them in every level they show up in. Even then, though, we managed to win this level pretty easily after a couple of attempts with the help of these little sniper boys. And we also got 2 achievements in this level. The first one being for clicking this little frog right here, and the second one being for let's just say that I discovered the game developer's poorly disguised fetish during this level. Okay, let's just say that. The heroic challenge of this level pretty much had the same composition of enemies and waves as the regular level, so we didn't really struggle all that much in beating that. But the Iron Challenge was a little bit more interesting and a little bit harder, I'm gonna say, because it's primarily focused on spamming a lot of weak enemies and only having like a few immortals at the end. And because cannons were banned in this level, it was really hard to deal enough single target damage to eradicate every single enemy without having any splash at all. But with enough fortress spam, we managed to do it eventually. Level 4 introduced our first max level towers. The first one being the crossbow fort, which is a max level archer tower which shoots really fast, does decent damage, and has a really OP ability which lets it fire a burst of arrows that do a crap ton of damage, and it can basically insta-kill like any enemy that has less than 1,000 HP. Its other ability is also really good, surprisingly. It's an ability that increases the tower's range and makes it basically see like half of the fucking map when it's maxed out. And on top of that, it also greatly increases the range of any tower that's near it. The only kind of sort of problem that I have with this ability is that it can be really janky a lot of the times. Like, I don't really know what constitutes as a tower that's within the range of the crossbow forts, because sometimes you will have a tower that's like barely inside of the range of the crossbow forts, and it will be affected by this buff that gives it extra range. And sometimes you will have a tower that's like well within the range of the crossbow fort, like pretty much fucking right up next to the nutsack of the crossbow forts, and it will just refuse to get the fucking range buff. The other tower we unlocked in this level is the Assassins, which are a max level barrack tower, and they're pretty good, honestly. They're kind of like what the Barbarians used to be in Kingdom Rush 1, but way, way, way better. They're glass cannons that do a lot of damage, can dodge attacks, they can do a crap ton of damage to enemies, and they can even steal money from enemies, which can come in really, really handy if you're trying to save for some really expensive upgrade. This level also introduces some annoying enemies though, like the Scorpions, which are really tanky and do a lot of damage. And also the Doom Terrors, which cannot be attacked at all unless they're being blocked by a barracks tower or by your recruits that you can just summon on the road. The level also introduces this gimmick where this big ass swarm pops out of the ground and anything in its way will be devoured when it finally sticks its head out. And when I say anything, I mean anything. This thing can eat enemies, it can eat allies, it can eat heroes, it can eat whatever is in its way. It does not give a fuck. With a good mix of magic, single targets, and some splash damage though, we managed to beat this level, and it wasn't too tough, honestly. It might have even been easier than the last level, I would say. The heroic challenge was also pretty easy. There was no worms, so we didn't have to worry about that. And I don't know, we just kind of did shit, and we kind of won. And as for the iron challenge, it was also pretty easy, but it was actually really fun, because the key to beating this challenge was to use all these little barracks that are pre-built on the level. With these barracks, you can summon genies, which snap their fingers and fucking reduce enemies into little items on the ground. And because we can spam so many of them in this level turned out to be quite easy. So we're moving on. On the next level, we unlocked the Dwarf, which is a final cannon upgrade that reduces the cannon's damage actually, but makes it able to hit an infinite amount of enemies when it stomps down and makes a little shockwave around itself. So it's still really, really good. And its abilities are really, really good too. Its first ability is that sometimes when it stomps, it can make a pool of lava around itself, which burns enemies for a ton of damage. And its other ability is the drill ability, which can pop out of the ground every 20 seconds, I think it is, or something like that. Anyways, I'm too lazy to check the stats, but it's something like 20 seconds. And when the drill pops out of the ground, it can insta-kill whatever enemy it's targeting. That lava upgrade, though, is the one that I use the most, and it definitely helped out a ton on this level, because this level introduces a little enemy called the Sand Wraith, which is like a little mage guy who uses his magical staff to summon a whole crap ton of mummies. And, well, because the dwarf can kill an infinite amount of enemies and hits an infinite amount of enemies with a shockwave, it's a really, really, really good counter to the mummies. And its burn ability is even better, as it can just straight up one-shot the mummies. On the bottom, though, there's this big executioner guy who carves out a path for himself and a bunch of other enemies that are right behind him. And that makes the situation a little bit tricky, but we managed to take care of it by building a couple of towers down there as well. The Iron and Heroic challenges, though, aren't really anything to write home about, and I mean, that makes sense, because it's pretty early on into the game, so, like, you know, the gameplay isn't really too riveting or too hard so far. The next level, though, is a boss level, and on this one, I actually struggled a lot. And I really shouldn't have struggled that much, honestly, but I either kept making really dumb mistakes or not investing my money into what I should have invested it in. Or on some other occasions, I just completely forgot to like macro or micro my units and my hero and all that stuff, and I just managed to lose due to my own stupidity. Now, even though my plays were kind of suboptimal, this level still was really difficult and challenging, because this level combines a little bit of everything from all the other previous levels. It's got the executioners, it's got the immortals, it's got the sand wraiths, it's got enemy spam, it's got wolf spam, it's got absolutely everything from all the other previous levels that we played so far. It's even got those little annoying Doom Terrors that burrow into the ground and can be damaged until something is blocking them. However, with the help of our new mage tower that we got in this level, and a couple of dwarfs, and a couple of barracks, and a lot of crossbow forts for the single target damage that we're gonna need on the final wave, we managed to beat this level, and in the end it only took us a couple of attempts. I wouldn't quite say that this level turned my hair gray like some of the levels in Kingdom Rush 1. The heroic challenge of this level required quite a few more mages from us though, because I'd like to spam a lot of tanky enemies. And with the power of the mages, we managed to beat it quite easily though. Once we figured out the mages were the key, it was a pretty easy challenge. The iron challenge though was kind of funny, because it gives you like fucking 50 pre-built level 1 barracks. But the key to beating this challenge was just to sell the few barracks that were like blocking the bends, the really good bends around the map. And instead of barracks, you just put a bunch of dwarfs in those nice little round turns. And those dwarfs pretty much did all of the damage in this level, and with them we managed to win. After busting the desert's cheeks wide open, we enter the jungle, the second biome of the game. And the first level of the jungle already throws a curveball at us, because it introduces a bunch of new enemies. In fact, pretty much all of the enemies in this level are new. For starters, in this level we have to deal with jungle spiders and jungle matriarchs, and jungle spiders are relatively simple enemies. I mean, they aren't like necessarily strong or hard to block or anything, they're just kind of fast. So you gotta be a bit careful and kill them quickly, or at least block them if you want to survive a big wave of them. Right alongside them though, we have the jungle matriarchs, and while I wouldn't exactly call them like super threatening enemies or anything like that, they can pose quite a big risk, at least compared to the regular jungle spiders. And that is because, while they're big and tanky, they also move just as fast as the regular jungle spiders. So if you don't take care of them quickly, then yeah, they can run down your defense and just exit the level. But on top of that, they also spawn a bunch of little spider babies. There's really only two ways in the game to deal with these spider babies. Either you can block the spider matriarchs with a unit as soon as they spawn, and when they're blocked, they won't lay any eggs, and if you just keep them blocked, you can kill them and boom, no problem, right? The other way to deal with them is splash damage, and that's precisely why I got this dwarf down here. In fact, the dwarf took care of pretty much all of the enemies, including the other new enemies that we meet in this level, which are the savage hunter guys, which are like little humanoid tribal dudes that do plenty of damage when they get into combat with one of your units. And there are even different flavors of them, like for example there's like the orange shaman guys, which don't do a lot of damage, but they do heal all the enemies around them, so you gotta be careful with those little fellas and take them out as quickly as possible if you can even do that. However, these little guys didn't pose that much of a threat in this level, because I managed to kill them pretty easily for the most part, and when I didn't manage to kill them in the elite, the dwarf just crashed into that pretty much. The only enemy that we're already familiar with in this level are these giant wasp guys, and I got like one archer tower for them, and and like dropped a couple of meteor showers, and that pretty much took care of the job. With that level taken care of, we moved on to the Iron and Heroic challenges of it, and they were quite easy. Yeah, I mean, there isn't a lot that I have to say about them. You know, we just kind of we did our thing. Okay, we did something, and the enemies died, and that's pretty much the end of it. With these easy Iron and Heroic challenges, I gaslit myself into thinking that the entirety of this game was gonna be easy. Unfortunately for me, that was not the case whatsoever, because the very next level already threw yet another curveball at us. That curveball being that this level fucking hates ground units. If you place any ground unit on the level, it's gonna get nuked fucking instantly. And that's not only because of these little guys who just automatically eat whatever is in front of them, but also because this level introduces a brand new flavor of the Savage Hunters. And that flavor is these purple guys right here that have blowing darts. And use these blowing darts to deal massive damage to any ground troop that they come across from a distance. And not only do they deal massive damage, but they also poison your ground troops, which kills them in seconds. So yeah, basically, do not place any barracks. Alright, don't do it. Do not place any barracks or you're gonna fucking lose the level, okay? That's pretty much the rule. And also, don't engage your hero in any fucking fighting and instead just keep him in the back ranks like this, because as soon as you try to move him up the road, he's also probably gonna get slimed out, because those red little vine guys, yeah, they can also eat your hero. The other enemies that get introduced in this level are the green and blue flavors of these little Savage Hunter guys. And they are actually pretty simple. They just increase the defenses of all the enemies around them. The green guy increases the enemy's physical defense, and the blue guy increases the enemy's magical defense. And outside of these two guys, we also have another new enemy, which is the gorilla fella, who is, not too interesting, I guess. I mean, he's pretty much just a tank. Like that's his whole thing. You know, he takes a lot of damage, and then you need to shoot him a lot before he goes down. But that's pretty much it about him. Surprisingly though, despite all these new enemies and the level gimmick with all those vine snappy red guys, the main level was actually pretty easy. In fact, I managed to beat it first try, which I was really surprised about. And the same went for the heroic challenge as well. It really was no trouble. I just kind of did the things that I always do. I spammed a bunch of crossbow forts, a couple of dwarps, and I used the new axe thrower hut tower that we unlocked. And I used it to debuff the enemies and silence all the mages and spellcasters. And that was pretty much it. I mean, we just kind of won. Also, after we beat the normal level and the heroic challenge, we unlocked this achievement for feeding a bunch of units purposefully to those red divine guys. However, even though the regular level and the heroic challenge were both pretty kind to us, the Iron Challenge kind of bent us over and slipped it in without consent, if you know what I'm saying. And it was actually pretty surprising that the Iron Challenge was the hardest thing about this level, because the Iron Challenge didn't even have the whole fucking red vine man-eating gimmick. However, just because the level didn't have that gimmick doesn't make it any safer for ground units. Because now, to compensate, the level just spams like fucking 10 times more of these purple Savage Hunters than usual. So blocking any enemy with your reinforcements, your hero, or barracks is just still as impossible as it ever was. And that is especially a problem in this level, because this level spams a ton of weak little enemies. And these weak little enemies wouldn't be a problem if A, we could block them in some way, or B, we had the dwarf. And unfortunately, this level bans fucking both of those things. So dealing with these small hordes of enemies that the level likes to spam at you is, yeah, good luck, bro. I mean, yeah, just good luck. What can I say? It took a lot of trial and error in order to beat this level. It took me plenty of attempts to find out where I'm supposed to place my tribal axe throwers, to have them silence all the mages that buff enemies' resistances and whatnot. And it also took a lot of trial and error to get my tribal axe throwers to throw their totems where they're actually supposed to go, instead of like throwing them at some random enemies or down the wrong path or whatever. But after enough luck and after enough trial and error, we managed to beat the level. And while this level was definitely hard, and definitely pretty challenging, but thankfully it was nowhere near as bad as the worst level that I ever played in this series, which that award still goes to Nightfang's Whale Iron Challenge from the first game. The next level, the Lost Jungle, introduced a new tower to the game, and that tower is the Necromancer. And the Necromancer is the other 5th tier mage tower that we haven't unlocked yet. And his whole shtick is that he doesn't do like a crazy amount of damage or anything, but when enemies die next to him, he turns them into skeletons that fight for you. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's a cap on how many skeletons he can spawn. So you actually, if you're careful and you don't let your skeletons die super easily, you can stack up quite a huge freaking army of skeletons that can be really, really useful in stalling enemies. Now, for me personally, this tower does come in clutch sometimes, but I feel like it's a little bit overglazed in the Kingdom Rush community. Because people fucking love this tower. Like, people act like they would die for this tower. Like, they would get run over by a fucking train for this tower, right? Like, people glaze the fucking hell out of this tower. But honestly, even though it's kind of good in some situations for me, I never really found like any huge uses for it, I guess. Because I personally think that the skeletons are just too weak. Like, it really just kind of comes down to that. The skeletons that this tower spawns, even though it can spawn a bunch of them, they're pretty weak. They just don't have enough HP to tank more than like 2 hits from literally any enemy. And the Death Rider that you can spawn by buying like a certain upgrade on this tower, he doesn't really help out that much either. I mean, he's a relatively strong unit himself, but his whole shtick is supposed to be that he like buffs the nearby skeletons and makes them stronger and gives them more armor. But even he doesn't really help out the Necromancer and his skeletons all that much. And again, this tower definitely does have some uses, and maybe I'll use it later on in this video. But like, am I gonna use it like every single time I get the chance to? Yeah, probably not. I'm gonna be real. As far as the enemies go in this level, there are only 2 new enemies that get introduced. The first one are the Pukai Riders, which are savage warriors that are riding these birds. And these birds are kind of the bane of my existence, bro, because they can actually be pretty freaking threatening if you don't take care of them. Because their whole thing is that they actually have 2 health bars. They have 2 lives, basically. The first time you kill them, you actually don't fully kill them, you only kill the rider that's on top of them. And then after you kill their rider, they transform into their second phase, where they pretty much get like a huge fucking speed boost and just run through your defenses. And you have to like kill this second phase of them really, really fast unless you want them to leak. And they're pretty annoying. They're not like the worst enemy ever, but they're pretty freaking annoying to deal with. And I definitely did lose to them a couple of times. The other enemy that this level introduces are these little alien face hugger pink things on the ground that occasionally spawn, and like if they kill one of your units, they turn into like these big bad fucking aliens that are a lot harder to kill. And you might be thinking, well, this game is kind of mean, right? Because it just gave you the Necromancer tower whose whole thing is spawning units. And then in the same level, it introduced an enemy that fucking hates units. And if it encounters a unit, it will get like fucking super buff and go super saiyan and run through your defenses. But actually, the surprising thing is that the skeletons are a counter to the aliens, not the other way around. Because in order for a facehugger alien to latch onto a unit and become a monster, the unit that they latch onto has to be an actual living unit. If it's an undead unit, like a skeleton for example, then when an alien latches onto a skeleton's face, it will just die. Like, after the skeleton dies, the alien will also die. So the skeletons are actually surprisingly kind of a counter to these alien guys. Overall though, this level was actually pretty easy, honestly. I just kind of spammed a bunch of crossbow forts as I've done for like a bunch of other levels, and I put down a couple of new necromancers to counter those alien guys, and that was pretty much it. That's honestly kind of all I had to do. And the same thing pretty much also goes for the Iron Challenge. The Iron Challenge also wasn't hard at all. But what was hard was the Heroic Challenge. Yeah, so the thing about the Heroic Challenge is that it spams a ton of Pukai riders right off the bat. And originally, I thought that the way you were supposed to deal with them is by stalling them in their first phase, by placing down a bunch of units on the ground which the riders could actually like shoot at and like, be paused for a little bit and get stalled for a little bit. And then, when the riders get killed and it's just the Pukai and Pukai is running through your defenses, you just kill it super fast. But unfortunately, that didn't quite work because you're actually pretty money starved in this level. You just simply do not have enough cash to get like a bunch of crossbow forts with like a bunch of their fucking barrage abilities or whatever. And I tried like a bunch of different setups and a bunch of different like ways to place my towers around the level, and unfortunately none of them worked. The Pukais would always overwhelm me. And when they didn't overwhelm me, then the next wave of enemies would come in, which is like little savage hunters and all their different fucking skittle flavors. And yeah, they just absolutely ravaged me. If the Pukais didn't ravage me, then they ravaged me. But after a bit of trial and error and a little bit of tinkering, I realized that the game actually didn't want me to max out my archer towers into crossbow forts, and what it actually wanted me to do was spam a bunch of level 3 archers, like all around the place, to like slowly chip away at the Pukai riders instead. And the reason that was a solution is because the thing about the crossbow forts is while they're pretty good on their own, they kind of heavily rely on their abilities, and they especially rely on that barrage ability, where if you max it out, then every so often, like every few seconds, they will like fucking supercharge their crossbows and like fire 20 shots at once at whatever enemies the closest to them. And that ability is pretty good. But the tower kind of like fully relies on that ability, right? It kind of like, it doesn't reach its full potential without that ability is what I'm trying to say. And again, because I was so money starved and couldn't afford enough of those barrages, the better strategy was just to get a bunch of level 3 archers instead and, save my money, I guess. And the thing that I was saving my money for was the dwarf. Yeah, I just kind of put him down and he took care of everything that was not the Pukai riders. And that's kind of how we beat the level. So, yeah, we're just gonna move on from that atrocity. The next level on our jungle journey is Makva Urku, and I hope I pronounced that right, but if I didn't, then cry about it, I guess. But anyways, this level introduces yet another max level tower, which is the Battle Mecha. And the Battle Mecha is yet another fan favorite tower in the community, just like the Necromancer. But unlike the Necromancer, I think this tower actually deserves all the glaze that it gets. Because not only does the Battle Mecha do great damage with its basic attack, but it can also be moved around and shuffled around so that it can utilize its range even more and hit enemies even more, and thus do even more damage. And as if that wasn't already great enough, this tower has an amazing ability that lets it launch rocket missiles, which do just an insane amount of damage. They really just do an insane amount of damage. The tower itself, at its max level, launches 4 of these missiles total. And the missiles themselves track enemies. They actually lock onto enemies and never miss their targets. And when they finally connect with their target after a couple of seconds, they do massive damage. They can obliterate basically any crowd of enemies. Any crowd of enemies, any tank, just any enemy, really. It can literally obliterate any enemy. It doesn't matter if the enemy has physical resistance, if it has magic resistance, if it has a ton of HP. This tower and its missiles can obliterated, just no questions asked. I think the only way that you can, like, realistically avoid the wrath of this tower is if you're an enemy that has, like, the maximum amount of physical defense. But if you don't have the maximum amount of physical defense, if you don't have, like, medium defense, or God forbid, even low defense, then yeah, you're getting obliterated, son. I don't know what to say. As far as enemies go, we just get another flavor of the Savage Hunter guys, this time in the form of Blood Tricksters. Basically, what Blood Tricksters do is whenever another Savage Hunter dies near them, they revive them and turn them into zombies that have, like, more HP and stuff. And I think they move a little bit slower or something like that. Yeah, they can be pretty threatening if they get revived near your exit, but outside of that, they are not super bad, I would say. The level also introduces this big guy, which comes out every so often with a princess, and he slowly walks down the path towards that volcano in the middle of the level. And if you let him throw the princess in, then the volcano erupts and sends out a bunch of meteors everywhere, and yeah, it can. Those meteors can kill your units pretty easily. But to be fair, he's not all that hard to suppress and kill. I mean, literally, all you need to do in order to kill them and save, in order to kill him and save the princess, is to just put a couple of reinforcements in front of him. Like, if your reinforcements are maxed out, you can just put a couple of them in front of the big bad guy, and yeah, they just take care of him pretty easily. Saving the princess once actually gives you an achievement, but I think the funny part about this whole level is that this big guy actually spawns multiple times throughout the level, right? Like, he spawns like a dozen times throughout the level. And every time you gotta stop him from throwing the exact same princess into a volcano. So either every time you rescue the princess, she just gets recaptured again like 10 seconds later, or there's like some weird, freaky fucking cloning machine inside of those little huts at the top of the level that's I guess the Savage Hunters use to just summon new princesses every so often to throw them in the volcano again. Honestly, as far as the level itself goes, though, I did die to it a couple of times. I'm gonna be perfectly fucking honest. I did die a couple of times to it, both in the normal version of the level, and in the heroic version of the level, and in the iron version of the level. But honestly, all of my deaths, I feel like, were very preventable. I kind of just feel like I died to my own skill issue, and not really to, like, any crazy, like, misuse of my abilities, or mistiming of my reinforcements, or mistiming of my meteor shower, or whatever. I feel like I just kind of died to my own stupidity, like, pretty much every single time that I lost this level. So even though I did die a couple of times, I'm not exactly willing to call it difficult. In the regular version of the level, we just spammed a bunch of crossbow forts and put down a couple of dwarfs. And in the heroic version of the level, that same strategy pretty much worked as well, just as fine. But the iron version of the level was a little bit harder, because in the iron challenge, the volcano that I was talking about, where like that big guy comes out and throws a princess into the volcano, and then the volcano activates and erupts and busts all over your units. Well, the thing about that volcano in the iron challenge is that it's active 24/7. It never goes out. So yeah, stalling the enemies in this level is pretty much off the table, because all of your units from like barracks and stuff and your reinforcements are gonna die pretty much immediately, unless they're max level, and I'm not exactly sure if you have enough money for that. And I mean, technically you can still block the units with your hero, I guess, because for example, Ulrich is a pretty tanky guy. He does have a lot of HP, he does have a lot of armor. He's still gonna die to the meteors, but at least he can like do something, you know, like get in there a little bit, and like fight the enemies a little bit and stall them a little bit. But yeah, outside of him, you really don't have a lot of hope for stalling the enemies. But yeah, the strategy for this level was honestly pretty fun, but it was also pretty dumb. Pretty much all you need to do to beat the Iron Challenge is just spam a bunch of level 3 archers, just like in the Lost Jungle level. I mean, you just fill every single spot on the map with level 3 archers and you win. And that's pretty much it. I mean, GG, I guess. What can I say? The next level is the final level of the jungle. And on this level, I immediately solved this little Indiana Jones puzzle over here that needs you to click a bunch of buttons in a certain way. And then if you do that, all these alien face hugger eggs get crushed. And yeah, I got an achievement for doing exactly that. As for the level itself though, it didn't introduce any new towers or any new enemies, but it did have a great mix of the already pre-existing enemies that we already fought through our jungle journey. I mean, it had a great deal of blood tricksters that revived all the savage warriors around them. It had both the green shamans, which buffed people's immunity to physical damage. It had the magical shamans, which buffed people's immunity to magical damage. There were a bunch of spiders, spider matriarchs, you know, to just put a couple of speedy enemies in the game. There were a bunch of flying enemies like giant wasps and bukai riders and whatnot. There were the tanky gorillas. It was, it was kind of mayhem, honestly. But honestly, despite how many enemies were spammed in this level, it surprisingly wasn't that difficult. I did die a couple of times to my own skill issue, like there were a couple of times where I didn't prepare enough for the flying enemies, or didn't prepare enough for the blood tricksters or whatever, or I wasn't like separating certain enemies from the group, right? I think I died about like maybe 3 times on this level before finally managing to beat it, but it wasn't necessarily difficult, I don't think. Again, most of my losses were to like skill issues and stuff, and not to me like mistiming abilities or placing the wrong towers in the wrong spots or whatever, you know? And honestly, the main reason that this level wasn't like super difficult or anything is because it gave you a lot of money to work with. It gave you plenty of money to work with, and there weren't any enemies that like disabled your towers necessarily or like destroyed your towers or anything like that. So, you know, all the money that you spend at this level is well invested, right? So I decided, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna spam fucking battle mechas. And well, spamming battle mechas is exactly what I did. And I buffed them a little bit too with the crossbow fort tower, because the crossbow fort tower, if you'll remember, has a secondary ability that allows it to buff the range of all the towers that are near it. And honestly, I haven't brought this up until this point, but that crossbow fort ability makes me tweak the fuck out, dude. It made me tweak so fucking hard while I was playing Kingdom Rush Frontiers. Because sometimes there'll be a tower that's like barely in the range of the fucking crossbow fort, you know, barely, like the crossbow fort barely grazes the nutsack of another tower, right? And that tower, whose nutsack is being grazed, will be buffed, no problem, no questions asked, it'll be buffed perfectly. And then you will have another situation where you place a tower that is so clearly inside of the range of the crossbow fort, and yet some fucking how it will not be buffed. And I never understood how the crossbow fort works with this ability that it has. Because again, its ability is supposed to buff the range of any tower that's within its, you know, within its own range, right? If a tower is within the crossbow fort's range will also be buffed if you buy the secondary ability. But this crossbow fort ability is so bugged, dude. Like, again, as I said, you can place a tower that's just like barely in the range of the crossbow fort and it'll be buffed. And you can place another tower that's like fully 100% unfucking mistakably within the range of the crossbow fort, and the crossbow fort will pretend like it just fucking isn't there, like it's blind or some shit, right? Honestly, this ability can be very, very frustrating to properly use, but when you do use it properly, it can be so fucking satisfying. I mean, just look at this layout right now. Just look at this layout in front of your beautiful pair of eyes. It's just it just brings me to tears, man. I mean, you have like a perfect fucking curve of towers on the left, you have a perfect curve of towers on the right, and then you have two crossbow forts whose range perfectly fucking encapsulates both of those curves, and it's just the most eye-watering thing I've ever seen in my life, guys. But enough yapping about curves. I'm starting to sound like Adam Sandler with how much I've been yapping about curves. But yeah, anyways, we placed on a couple crossbow forts, a bunch of battle mechas. We got the battle mecha missile abilities in pretty much every single battle mecha that we placed, and we won. And it was very satisfying, I gotta say. And the boss was very cool too. But yeah, we managed to beat his ass, and we managed to beat the little gorilla minions that he was spawning, and it was all great. It was all freaking awesome. But yeah, that's it for our jungle journey, fellas. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but we also beat the Iron and Heroic challenges of that final jungle level pretty easily. In the heroic stage, all you had to do was just spam a bunch of like raw single target DPS in the left lane, and then like make a little mix and match of units in the right lane, because you know the enemies that were coming down the right lane actually had some resistances. But yeah, after you did all that, you would win. And then for the Iron Challenge, you just had to like put down a couple battle mechas as always, and this is actually one of the instances where the Necromancer Tower is actually really useful. So you get a couple of those as well. And they kind of poison the enemies and stall them with their skeletons, and yeah, you win the Iron Challenge as well. Anyways, we're moving on. Anyways, after that whole ordeal, we went into the caves, which is a new biome in the game, and once again, just like with the jungle, every single enemy in the caves is brand spanking new, never before seen. They're all pretty much different variations and flavors of the lizard people. There are some lizard people that have armor and are big and have swords, and they butt your units and they bonk your units over the head. There are little lizard people that have smaller swords and do a little less damage and are a little less tanky. There are some lizard people that can teleport across the map. There are some lizard people that can go invisible and sneak past your units. There are some lizard people that actually aren't people at all, and instead they're like little flying lizard creatures. However, despite all these new lizard people and all of their unique quirks, we actually didn't struggle all that bad on the first level of the new biome. I mean, actually, we struggled so little that I was able to get an achievement on this level. And that achievement was awarded to me for building all 8 tower specializations in the game on one singular level. The heroic and iron challenges weren't all that bad either, and we managed to beat them pretty easily as well, so there's not much to say there. So we're moving on to level 2 of the caves. On level 2, we meet a dragon called Bearsad, who sits in a big old pile of gold and sometimes flies down to scorch our towers, I guess. I don't know, he just kind of spits his fiery breath in our towers and stuns them for a little bit. However, him flying down to stun our towers actually isn't all that bad, because while he's flying, we can spam click on his little gold pile and steal a bunch of coins. Even with this extra income though, the level still is a little tiny bit difficult, I'd say, because it did take me 2 tries to complete. And the main reason why it's difficult is because it introduces these new enemies, the Saurian Savants. Now, the Saurian Savants might not look like all that much on the surface, but they can overrun you pretty quickly, and that is because of their ability that they have, which lets them open a little portal on the ground, which lets them spawn a bunch of little Saurian minions to round down your path. And actually, unlike the jungle matriarchs or other enemies that summon little goobers on the ground, this Saurian Savant guy is actually pretty freaking dangerous. Like, he can actually really quickly overrun you with little Saurians if you don't take care of him. I mean, obviously the jungle matriarchs and like those little mummy spawning fucking coffin mages in the desert were also pretty dangerous, but they were only dangerous if you left them alone for like a long period of time. Meanwhile, with the Saurian Savants, if you leave them alone for like more than 15-20 seconds, you're gonna be in trouble. Even with that though, like I said, it only took me 2 tries to beat this level. I mean, the whole Barasad dragon gimmick where when he's flying you can take his gold was really helpful in this level. And I actually enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the whole gimmick a lot. I enjoyed meeting my boy Barasad for the first time. And don't you worry, he's gonna make a return in the future games, but we're gonna have to wait for that. But anyways, yeah, it was overall an enjoyable experience. What can I say? It was a great level. The heroic stage of the level was a lot more difficult though, and the reason for that is because you had little saurian lizards climbing out of every crack and hole and pits that's in this level, right? They were climbing out of everywhere. They were just infesting the place. I mean, that's really the best word to describe how this level went. They were just fucking infestating this bitch, right? I mean, it was just crazy, right? But yeah, the biggest problem in the level was that in the normal version of the level, you can just place down a couple of dwarfs in this intersection here, and they'll take care of pretty much everything. But in this level, unfortunately, like I said, there are saurians climbing out of every single crack and hole. So instead of placing dwarves there in the intersection, you actually mostly have to defend the back ranks of your level. You have to defend like all this stuff back here. And honestly, even when I figured that out, it was still quite a struggle to find the right combination of towers that are cheap enough and strong enough to take care of all the enemies that I could spam around the place and defeat all the little saurians with. In the end, a good mix of mages and crossbow forts managed to do the trick, and we managed to win the heroic challenge. And the iron challenge was pretty easy. We honestly did not struggle on it at all. Because in the iron challenge, we used the extremely fucking dumb strategies of spamming battle mechas everywhere, and oh boy, did that end up working. Did that end up fucking working. Holy shit. I mean, listen, it might have been a dumb strategy, but it was an incredibly satisfying strategy. It was really funny and really satisfying to see everything that dared approach the exit get absolutely obliterated into like little bits and pieces. The third level of the caves honestly had some really fun gimmicks mixed into it. I mean, for one, we actually get 2 heroes on this level instead of just one. We get whichever hero we pick, and we get this little dwarf guy with a hammer or whatever that is really good at blocking enemies and taking hits. Kind of like Ulrich if Ulrich didn't have his sand warriors. Outside of the hero, we also get a couple of pre-built towers that are also of the dwarvish variety, I guess. We get a little barracks unit, which is just an average barracks unit. It excels at tanking the enemy hits and taking damage and stalling the enemies. And then we also have a couple of little range towers, which are like snipers, I think would be the best way to describe them. I mean, originally they do pretty modest damage. Like if you don't upgrade them at all, they just do modest damage. They're decent, but they're not like anything exceptional. However, if you upgrade their damage, they end up at their max level doing way more damage than any of your other towers ever could. I mean, to be fair, they only do single target damage, but still, like they do just a ridiculous amount of single target damage, honestly. We also unlock perhaps one of the best heroes, not only in this game, but also in the entire Kingdom Rush series in this level. And that hero is none other than Boneheart. Boneheart is a flying dragon hero, which is already great, because that means that pretty much nothing can damage him in this game unless it's like a super rare ranged unit. But as if that wasn't good enough, Boneheart, despite being a flying hero, also has an answer for how to stall ground units. And that answer is Wishbones, which are like little skeleton dog things that he occasionally spawns here and there. And they have actually quite a good chunk of HP, honestly, and they can stall enemies for quite a long time too. But outside of those little wishbone guys, he also does an amazing amount of damage. Not only does his normal base attack do great damage, but he also has plenty of abilities that are not only able to hit multiple targets at the same time, but are even able to make targets explode on death, damaging even more units at once if even one poisoned enemy manages to die. So overall, Boneheart is a hero with excellent crowd control, like straight up fucking Mortar Tower Defense Simulator style, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, to absolutely no one's surprise, with the help of Bonehearts and all the Dwarven Towers and whatnot, none of these levels really stood a chance. I mean, they were all just kind of obliterated. I mean, the base level was literally obliterated by the power of 10,000 fucking battle mechas, but the heroic and iron challenges were also obliterated by dwarven technology and all the pre-built towers that the game gives you. And finally, after that long, incredible journey, reach the final level of the game. What's happening on the final level of the game? Lord Malagar is trying to unleash Umbra into this world, and apparently Umbra is like some fucking shadow demon or something, and he's gonna like fucking kill everyone if he gets out. So yeah, that's probably not a good thing, so we should probably stop him. But before we stop him, do you guys even know who Lord Malagar is? Well, he's this guy that we met on the very first level of the game, and then we haven't heard a fucking peep from him for the rest of the fucking game. So we only saw him in the first level, and now we're seeing him in the very last level, and I guess his whole journey wasn't even him trying to like consolidate power for himself, and instead he just wanted to like fucking destroy the world with this fucking gem from Lord Vesnan from the first Kingdom Rush game that he got, which is I mean, listen, I know, dude. I'm not here to like judge anyone's plans or anything, or like kink shame anyone, but yeah, dude, you gotta go, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I gotta snap your neck. Listen, bro. Listen. I'm not the bad guy here. I'm just the messenger. But anyways, we fight against the lizard people one last time, and it was a really difficult battle trying to reach the final wave and actually fight the final boss, because the lizard people were fucking strong, dude. They fucking swarmed all over me, okay, in this level. No matter how much money I had, I would fucking lose somehow. And not only that, not only were the lizard people strong, and not only was there a lot of them, but all the exits on this level are fucking super far spread apart. So I had to split my defenses in like 10 different fucking directions, and it got pretty hectic, let's just say. It got pretty hectic. Unfortunately though, after doing all that and reaching wave 15, we didn't even get to snap Lord Malagar's neck, and instead Umbra just killed him. Umbra got there first, I guess. But anyways, he's dead and Umbra is not, so this is kind of bad news, isn't it? And yeah, it was bad news, because the Umbra boss fight was really fucking difficult. In fact, I'm willing to say that out of every single game in the whole series, I think the boss fight against Umbra is probably the hardest, like, final main campaign boss fight in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. And the reason for that is because killing Umbra just once isn't enough. You have to kill him multiple times if you want to like fully put him down. Because once he dies, he explodes into like a million little shadow orbs, and you have to pick these shadow orbs off one by one until you get rid of all of them. Except the problem is, you can only get rid of like, I think 3 of them at a time, because once you get rid of 3 of them, Umbra will just rush to reconstitute himself, and once he does, he's back and you have to kill him again, and then you have to pick off his shadow orbs again, and then he reconstitutes himself again, and then you have to kill him again, and the cycle basically repeats until you get rid of all the shadow orbs. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, Umbra is fucking immune to your attacks half the time, because half the time he just teleports back to his little fucking cock chair back here and just watches you die while he sends a bunch of minions out, a bunch of his like little shadow minions out to get you. And it's a pretty hard boss fight, okay? It's a pretty hard boss fight, and honestly, I think it's probably one of the most unique boss fights in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. But it is really difficult. It is really hard, honestly. But anyways, eventually we managed to beat the guy after a bit of a battle of attrition, and we got a little cutscene, and we're all sitting on the table being like, yippee, woohoo! We defeated the big bad guy, and yeah, that's pretty much how that story ends. The only other hard part about this level was the Iron Challenge. The Heroic Challenge we managed to smoke first try. We had like absolutely no troubles on that. But the Iron Challenge was actually quite a bit difficult on this level, and a part of the reason why it was so difficult is because of all these little cannon lizard guys that come out. I mean, the level literally opens with like fucking 100 of these magic cannon guys coming out. And they just absolutely obliterate any unit you put in their path. It can be a flying hero, it can be a ground hero, it can be a barrack unit, it can be a reinforcement, it can be absolutely anything. They're gonna obliterate it, and you're done. You're toast. What can I say? So pretty much the only way to beat them was to damage them fast enough to the point where they weren't able to run to the exit, because you just weren't blocking them. Like that was really the problem. You just could not block them or slow them down in any way. So the only way to take care of them is to just like raw brute strength it and just make sure you're doing like overkill damage to make sure that, you know, you kill them before they reach the exit, right? In the end, what ended up working was a couple of battle mechas, a couple of crossbow forts, and a couple of dwarfs. And we also got some barrack units, because even though I said that barrack units get obliterated in this level, they were still like a tiny bit useful, because, you know, they could at least tank like maybe 1 or 2 shots before completely dying, which would, you know, kind of stop the mage cannon guys in their tracks for like at least a fucking nanosecond, you know. But really, most of the work was done by the battle mechas and the crossbow forts, and the dwarfs were there just in case things got like a little bit too messy and a little bit too heated, and there were maybe like a little too many enemies. But yeah, it was quite a hectic level. But thankfully, with that mix and with our hero of choice, Pulling Hearts, yeah, we managed to win, and yeah, that was it. After pausing for a bit to admire the beauty of our completed main campaign map, we had to continue marching on, because our job was not quite over yet. Because when we completed the main campaign, a bunch of new little disconnected mini-campaigns popped up on the map, and after a little bit of, let's just say, off-camera mining and totally not cheating, and totally not editing the game's files, we managed to get all our heroes to level 10. Okay, all jokes aside though, I edited the game's files to make all my heroes level 10 instantly. I mean, listen, if you want to call me a cheater for that or something, then go ahead, but I mean, I don't think it really changes the game at all or makes the game any easier to set all your heroes to level 10. And that's because if I really wanted a specific hero for a specific level, but he was only level 5 instead of level 10, then the solution would just simply to go and play some previous level that I've already beaten with that under-leveled hero, and just grind it out a little bit and get into level 10 before jumping right back into the level that I was trying to beat with them. I mean, to me, just adds like a little unnecessary layer of grinding to the game that I really would rather not do. And it's not like I prematurely leveled up any of my heroes to level 10. Like, it's not like I had a level 10 hero right from like the first level of the game or anything like that. And it's also not like I unlocked any hero prematurely or anything. It's just simply that when I unlocked all the heroes and already had 1 or 2 heroes that were already level 10, I just decided to level up the rest of them to level 10 by editing the game files. So, in my opinion, it's pretty justifiable. But anyways, side tangent aside, after we totally legitly by legit methods, got our heroes up to level 10, we decided to take on the mini-campaign called Bonesburg. And the reason that we took on Bonesburg first is because personally, it's like one of my least favorite mini-campaigns in the entire series. I mean, I already didn't like the Lord Blackburn mini-campaign in the first game, because the Lord Blackburn mini-campaign had some really, really unfairly difficult levels, and it was just kind of annoying. And I didn't really like the dingy, dark vibe of it. And then there was the Nightfang Swale Iron Challenge, which in the previous video, if you watched it, you would know that I spent 4 whole hours just trying to beat that singular level. And it just didn't really sit right with me, okay? I just kind of grew sick of it over time, right? I mean, it's not like a bad mini-campaign or anything. I wouldn't call it like awful or anything. I would just call it like mid, mediocre. Right, it's not like bad, but I just didn't like it as much as some of the other ones. And maybe I didn't like it for completely illegitimate reasons. Maybe I just simply had skill issues, and maybe my taste in good level design or like beautiful level design is different from other people's. And if that's the case, then I guess that's okay. But yeah, the thing about Bonesburg is that it's just really more of the Lord Blackburn mini-campaign. And like I said, I did not like the Lord Blackburn mini-campaign, so, dragging it out, making a fucking part 2 Electric Boogaloo to it, I just didn't really fully fuck with it, if you know what I'm saying. However, while this first level of the mini-campaign is playing, I want to tell you guys a story. And the story is about how I went from mildly disliking the Bonesburg mini-campaign to absolutely hating it and despising it, and becoming like fucking nauseously sick every time I even had to look at it. And this story starts out with my sexuality. And listen, I know that's a fucking crazy thing to say right off rip, right? I mean, I know that that's a crazy fucking way to start off a conversation about fucking Kingdom Rush, right? I mean, listen, I promise that this is going somewhere. I absolutely fucking promise that this is going somewhere. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm gonna need you to bear with me. Because in a few minutes, you're gonna understand how my sexuality fucking led me to despise this level. Now listen, I wouldn't really consider myself an asexual or an aromantic person or whatever, but sex and romance were never really my type of thing in life, For my entire life, obviously, I always wanted to be in a romantic relationship, right? I always dreamed of actually having a girlfriend and, actually being with someone and all that good stuff. But I was also always paranoid about romantic relationships. I had this idea in my mind that I could never be a good or adequate boyfriend, let alone fucking husband or something, right? I always had this idea in my mind that I could never hold down long-term relationship, that I would somehow fuck it up. It doesn't matter if I fucked it up in a month, in a year, in 10 years, but I would somehow fuck it up, and I always knew that it would end in tragedy if I somehow got into a romantic relationship, and that it would all be for nothing, and so I just stayed far, far away from romantic relationships for as long as possible. I also always knew that if by some miracle, some fucking act of Jesus Christ himself, I fell in love, that I would only have one chance and one shot at love, right? I would only have one chance at falling in love with someone and actually having like a full-on, like long-term romantic relationship with them. Because I knew that if I broke up with whichever person I ended up getting with, if I even ended up getting with anyone, that I would just never be able to like truly get over them. I mean, obviously I would never like become like a super depressed alcoholic or anything like that, but I knew that I would just never be able to get over like a traumatic breakup like that. And obviously, since I would never be able to get over my ex, obviously I would be in no shape to get into a new relationship at any point in my life after if I said breakup like that happened. And well, for a long, long time, I stayed exactly like that. I strayed far, far away from relationships, and anyone who would show me any kind of affection or any kind of signs of having like a crush on me or whatever, I would just stay away from them. And that's just kind of how I operated. Until one day, I fell in love. And I didn't just fall in love, I full on experienced true love for the first time. Yeah, I know, a foolish mistake. But long story short, this relationship that I had was the first one that I ever had, and probably the only one that I will ever have for the rest of my life. And it was beautiful. It really changed quite a bit of my perspective on myself and my relationship with romance. You know, it didn't quite completely change me and like make me do a fucking 180 on romance, but it changed me a lot, and it was a really beautiful relationship. I mean, we laughed together, we cried together, we spent a lot of time together, we talked to each other every day, we joked, and it was really beautiful. What can I say? It was a great time. I thought about her every day, she thought about me every day, and we never had any arguments with each other. It was a truly romantic and mature relationship. I mean, a part of the reason why we didn't have any arguments ever in our relationship is because it was so mature. If we had a problem with each other or a problem with just our relationship in general or something, we would just talk about it with each other. You know, we weren't like concealing our feelings or like having this hidden animosity with each other that just grew over time until we just exploded in a big fiery argument or some shit, you know. Like, if we had a problem, we would just simply fucking talk about it with each other and stuff, you know? We would get through it together. And it was just really beautiful. And it was great until I got around to playing the second level of this mini campaign, where she broke up with me. Yeah, it was really sudden, and she didn't just break up with me, she just disappeared completely from my life. She blocked me and everything, and I just never heard from her again. I didn't get a breakup talk, there was no fallout, there was no big argument or anything. She just disappeared, and that was it. And I just didn't know how to take it, really. And when I say she blocked me and everything, I mean she remembered to block me on fucking everything. She blocked me on Instagram and Discord, which are like the two main platforms that we were like chatting on and shit. But she fucking remembered to block me on Steam, man. I don't know what I did wrong, but I must have done something really fucking wrong if she remembered to block me, even on like random bullshit fuck ass like platforms like Steam. And it was weird because, like I said, we didn't have like any fallout or any arguments or anything. It just happened suddenly. I mean, just the day before it happened, actually, like literally the day before she decided to block me and everything, we were talking and joking with each other as usual. You know, she was sick, and I was joking about licking her runny nose and to make her feel better or whatever the fuck not. And then tomorrow morning, she was gone. Just like that. And like I said, I really didn't know how to react. You know, I thought that if I ever broke up with her or something, that I would cry for days, maybe be depressed even or something. But for some reason, and it's a truly unexplainable reason, I did not shed a single tear. I think the reason that I didn't cry at all is because it was really just traumatizing. That's really the best word that I can use to describe it. It was just traumatizing. Like, just losing someone that I was fucking planning to marry just weeks prior, just like that, it was traumatizing, and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't have, like, the mental capacity to cry, I guess. I mean, I felt sad. I really did. And I felt like the physical effects of sadness. You know how when you're crying, like, your stomach starts hurting and your lungs start hurting, and, like, there's, like, a little bit of pain in your kidneys and organs, maybe? I felt all of that. I felt my lungs, you know, hurting, just hurting. And my liver and kidneys were hurting even worse. I couldn't stand by myself for a couple of days. But during that whole time, I did not shed a single tear, and it's just because it was really traumatizing. I tried to reach out to her multiple times through friends and all that stuff, and it's never worked. Unfortunately, I never even got to have that one last talk with her, you know? Like, even if she responded to me, I would not, like, beg her to get back with me or anything, but all I wanted when I tried to contact her after she broke up with me, all I wanted was one final talk. I just wanted to know what went wrong, I wanted to say sorry, I wanted to apologize, and I just never got the chance to. And that was the end of that. I tried many times and it just never worked, and it was over. I had to accept it. And like I said, this all happened while I was recording the footage for this mini campaign. And because of that, I went from like mildly disliking this mini campaign to just utterly detesting it. Like, I literally physically get sick whenever I even have to look at it. And it's really hard for me to even like record this voiceover for the video and like actually edit the video as I'm speaking right now. It's just really difficult because I just get nauseous when I look at this level. Like, that's just how it is. But yeah, I hope that explains how my fucking sexuality led me to hate this level, even though the story kind of sounded goofy right off the start, right? I opened this story up by saying that my sexuality led me to hate this level, and that might have sounded goofy at the start, and I totally understand if it did, but I hope that this explains how exactly that happened. But anyways, there's a lot more to that story than just that, but it really deserves its own video, so if you guys want to hear me yap about all the little details and shit about that whole story, then let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about it. But for now, I yapped on for long enough, because while we were yapping, I managed to complete the whole entire Bonesburg level, as well as its Iron and Heroic challenges. And on top of that, we even had time to go on a little side quest and get a little achievement that's really annoying to get, by the way. Basically, the achievement is tied to the Templar Tower, where if you place down a Templar Tower and then get a specific upgrade on it, then every time a Templar dies, it will have a certain percentage chance to immediately respawn and not actually die. And to get the achievement that I was going for, you have to get a singular Templar to respawn 5 times in a row in a single level. So to accomplish that, I went back to Makva Orku, which is that little jungle level with the volcano and whatnot, and I placed a Templar Tower right at the beginning of the level so that all the blow dart enemies that spawn in can just like start shooting at my Templars and kill them as fast as possible, and then hopefully, if we get lucky, one of them will respawn 5 times in a row, and then we'll be able to get the achievements, and that's exactly what happened, so yippee. But let's move on to level 2 so that I can actually explain to you the mechanics of this mini campaign instead of yapping about some story. Level 2 was potentially even harder than Night Fang's Whale from the original Kingdom Rush game. And if you'll remember what I said about Night Fang's Whale, I spent 4 hours in the previous video trying to beat Night Fang's Whale. It took me 4 hours to complete that one singular level. And yet this level here might genuinely top even Night Fang's Whale. You see, there are many problems with this level. The first problem is the ghoul enemies, which are these little fast, little inbred looking fucking hunchbacks that are ridiculously fast in this level, let's just say. They're absolutely ridiculously fast, way faster than what they look at a first glance. And not only are they fast, but they do a lot of damage in veteran difficulty, so you can't even really properly block them until you have like a maxed out fucking a barracks unit, right? Like, regular reinforcements and shit will not block them for long, because the ghouls will absolutely fucking chew through them. And if they don't chew through them, then there will be like 6 ghouls that you'll have to block, and at that point, I mean, you just cannot have enough units to block them all, and then you're just cooked. It's just over. Ghouls ended up accounting for like 90% of the deaths that I had in this level, I believe. And then the other 10% of the deaths were caused by other enemies, like, I think I had a couple deaths due to ghost enemies, which are like these little guys that spawn around the map. And they're relatively weak, but only magic can damage them. They're completely immune to physical damage. You gotta have a lot of magic towers if you want to deal with, like, the tons of ghosts that this game spams at you. Then the rest of my deaths were either caused by abominations, which are these enemies from Kingdom Rush 1 that are really big and really tanky and have a crap ton of HP. I mean, they just really have ridiculous HP. And on top of that, if that wasn't enough, they also explode on death. So if you have any unit blocking them, or you try to stall the abominations, they're gonna explode, and they're gonna kill whatever fucking unit is in front of them. And then whatever is behind the abominations is just gonna run through and take the opportunity while they can. Then you have the Lycans and Werewolves, which are also enemies from Kingdom Rush 1. The Lycans are enemies that originally spawn as regular human dudes, but if you kill those regular human dudes, they have a second phase where they transform into a big bad wolf, and they're basically the exact same thing as the ghouls, where they move super fast and do a ton of damage, except they do even more damage, move even faster, and have like fucking 5 times the HP of a ghoul. And the werewolves are just there for fucking moral support, I guess. They're also annoying, but the only time that I lost to them was when the Lycans already killed all the units that were supposed to stall the werewolves. And then, if by some miracle of God himself, I didn't die to the ghouls, I didn't die to the ghosts, I didn't die to the abominations, I didn't die to Lycans, and I did not die from werewolves, then a blood moon would spawn. And all 5 of those fucking enemies would come out all at once, and they would just completely run through my fucking defenses with no hope of ever surviving. Oh yeah, also, blood moons. I forgot to explain those. Well, I think they're actually just full moons, not blood moons, but I'm gonna use both of those terms interchangeably, so get fucking used to it, man. But anyways, full moons are these things at the top of the screen that show you what phase the moon is at. Usually for like 90% of the level, the moon is just normal. It just, its regular old self. But sometimes in the level, a full moon will activate. And when a full moon activates, all the enemies go fucking berserk. Like fucking 5 million enemies spawn on the map. They all gain a huge, massive speed boost. They all gain a boost in their stats. The Lycans automatically transform from their relatively harmless human form to their big bad wolf form, and it's just chaos. It's just absolute chaos. And the worst part about full moons is the speed boost that all enemies gain. It doesn't matter if the enemy is a zombie, a ghoul, a werewolf, a Lycan, an abomination, or something completely fucking fifth. It will gain a speed boost, and it will run even faster through your defenses. And it's just really fucking annoying and really fucking difficult to deal with. And on top of all of this, there's also this little fucking headless horseman enemy right here, which occasionally appears and spawns huge groups of enemies to come out at you. Like ghouls, for example, which are one of the types of enemies that I really complain about. However, it's not all bad, guys. Because if you kill the Headless Horseman, he gives you a little bit of gold. And that makes everything fucking okay, right? Well, no. No, it fucking doesn't. It makes absolutely nothing okay. Because this little Headless Horseman guy right here is a fucking illusion of choice. Because even though you can kill him for some extra gold, you're never gonna kill him for some extra gold. Because if you spawn in your reinforcements, they're too slow and they can't kill him in time before he runs away and despawns. If you have your hero on the board and he spawns, your hero will probably be busy doing something else that's much more important to be bothered about any fucking Headless Horseman coming into the game. And if you have your meteor shower off cooldown, and he spawns in, well, you're just probably dreaming or hallucinating or on some kind of drugs, because that never happens. You're never gonna have your meteor shower off cooldown and the Headless Horseman in the game at the same time. So how did I overcome this Herculean challenge after many, many, many hours of attempts? I spammed mages. Archmages, to be specific. Yeah, I'm gonna end it all, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Well, okay, it was a little bit more complicated than that, but it was still a really, really simple strategy. Basically, in the back, you have a necromancer that spawns a bunch of skeletons, and you got a couple of barrack units to help them out. And they work together to stall the enemies, and then pretty much all around the rest of the level, you just put down a bunch of archmages, and then in the middle, you put down a dwarf, because I mean, that's the juiciest fucking dwarf spot in the whole entire game, so I don't know why you would choose to not put a dwarf there if you have the chance. And yeah, after you do all that, you pretty much win. Yeah, you pretty much win. My hero of choice on this level was also Shoutout, because he's the only hero in the game with an insta-kill ability. And that insta-kill ability actually fires off pretty fucking often. And on top of that insta-kill ability, he just has the capability of doing pretty decent damage, honestly. He does pretty good damage. But yeah, his defining trait is definitely that insta-kill ability, and it's especially useful against abominations, because if you suck up abominations, if you abduct them in the UFO, they will not explode, and all the units that surround the abomination are completely safe and fine. And the other situation where he's useful is against the Lycans, which are the other type of really, really scary and devastating and spooky enemy. Because if you suck up a Lycan, he will, it doesn't matter if he's in his first form or his second form, but he will instantly die. And if he's in his first form, he will not get the chance to transform after you kill him. He's just gone. He just wiped out the game. So yeah, safe to say that Shoutout is probably the best choice of hero on this level. Thankfully though, even though the main stage was fucked, the Iron and Heroic stages on the other hand were pretty easy. I mean, on the Heroic stage I just kind of spammed mages, kind of like in the original level, and I won first try. And then on the Iron Challenge, where the mages were banned, I just spammed a bunch of crossbow forts, and again, I won first try. However, the next level is fucked in every single way. It doesn't matter if you're playing the Iron Challenge, the Heroic Challenge, the normal level, it's over. You're cooked. It's bad, okay? It's real bad. Now, while the original level is pretty messed up and it needs some pretty precise ability timings and some pretty precise hero micro and whatnot, it is not the hardest thing in the world, but it still took me a good hour and a half in order to beat it. And that's mostly because it just requires really precise micro. But as far as the towers go, you pretty much just put an Archmage in the back and upgrade it with a tornado so they can like blow all the enemies back and like suck them up and like send them back down a track. And then you get a Necromancer and that little spot that can see both the lanes, and he will spawn little skeletons as usual, which will block the enemies to the best of their abilities. And then for the rest of the slots, you pretty much just get crossbow forts and that's it. And the reason that you get crossbow forts is because single target damage is really, really important in this level. I mean, not only do you deal with a lot of tanks and a lot of strong enemies, like a lot of abominations and a lot of Lycans, but the boss himself is also really, really strong, and he's really hard to block. But just in general, it's good to have single target damage in this level because the amount of tanks that the game sends out is cranked up to 11. Like, in level 2, there were quite a few abominations that were sent out, but in this level, there are like dozens upon dozens of abominations that get sent out at you. The only unique part of this level that sets it apart from the previous two levels is its inclusion of the Goth Mommy enemy, which is the Vampiressa. And the Vampiressas are like some relatively tanky magic resistant enemies, I believe. And they also have a couple of abilities they can activate that do quite a lot of damage, so they can't really be stalled properly. The proper way to deal with them is to have your secondary hero that you get in this level and have her fight all the Vampiresses, because her attacks deal 10 times damage to Vampiresses specifically. So she's usually like pretty weak and like pretty dainty and doesn't have a lot of HP or a lot of blocking power. But if she's fighting against the Vampiresses specifically, she does 10 times damage to them and only them. This basically allows her to one-shot Vampiresses, which is pretty good. And if you're not one-shotting the Vampiresses with her, then taking them out is going to be pretty dang difficult. So it really is suggested to just use your secondary here to take them out. As for the boss himself, though, he's not too difficult. Like, again, as long as you have enough crossbow forts, he's not really all that difficult. The main thing about him is that he has two phases. In the first phase, he's a guy that strolls down the left lane, and you can, like, block him with relative ease. Like, you can actually, like, block him and stall him and, like, you know, have him fight your units and shit. But then when you kill him once, he enters his second phase where he strolls down the right lane, and this time, he has a little aura field around him that pretty much instantly kills anything that comes into contact with it. So all the units that you try to put in front of him in order to block him are going to get killed by the force field before he even like stops to engage in combat with it. So blocking him is pretty much impossible here. But even with those abilities, like I said, as long as you have enough single target damage, he's free. He's not really all that difficult. The heroic challenge was pretty dang hard though. Once again, just like with the main stage, it required some pretty precise ability timings, and the heroic challenge spammed a fuck ton of abominations. If you thought that the main stage spammed lots of abominations and sent out dozens at you and that was a little bit too much, the heroic challenge cranks that up to 12 instead of just 11. It sends out probably like a fucking 100 abominations. I mean, it's just, it is just absolutely insane. You absolutely 100% need to use Shoutout on this level, and you need to utilize every single one of his insta-kill abduction abilities as soon as they're available. The nanosecond they're available, you need to fucking use them. If you do that though, while stalling them with the Archmage Tornado ability, and you somehow survive all the full moons where they fucking gain triple speed boosts, then you're gonna be fine. And you're gonna beat a level. And you're gonna move on to the Iron Challenge, where you're also gonna get your ass kicked, because the Iron Challenge focuses a lot on fast enemies and Vampiresses. In the Iron Challenge, on the left lane, you got a bunch of Lycans and Werewolves coming down, trying to diddle you and touch you inappropriately. And on the right lane, you got like a shit ton of Vampiresses coming in, which, like I said, your secondary hero can one-shot them, but they can also like two-shot your secondary hero as well. So it's like a pretty fucking even battle between the Vampiresses and your heroes. You really have to like move your hero out of the way when the Vampiresses use their like one specific ability where they like burn into a giant flame and take away a bunch of your hero's HP. Because if you don't micro well enough, then you're going to have to retreat your secondary hero, and once you retreat your secondary hero, it's going to take a while to heal, and by the time you get back into the battle, you're already fucking dead. But if you manage to overcome that while also making sure the Lycans don't leak, then yeah, you're gonna win this level as well. After completing that nightmarish fucking mini-campaign, we move back onto the cave levels, and the cave mini-campaign consists of only one singular level. And that level's whole gimmick is that if you want to use your hero, you're gonna get bent over without your consent and get 10 red-hot rods shoved up your until you die. And that's because of these Saurian Death Coil guys, which have absolutely insane map-wide range. They can fucking use their guns to snipe your hero or your units or whatever the hell you're using to fight enemies from literally across the map. Like, literally across the map. The only part of the map that he can't reach is the very, 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 very end of it near the exit. And not only do these Saurian death coils have an insane range, but they also do insane damage, being able to, like, 3-shot your hero, or like 4-shot it, or something like that. They're able to basically kill any hero or any unit in like 3 to 5 shots, I'd say. Even with those fellers, though, the level was pretty dang easy. I mean, you pretty much just played it like any other cave level. It was a little bit difficult, I'm not gonna lie. I did lose 2 times, I beat it on my 3rd try, but it wasn't like a super, super difficult level. I mean, you basically just spam battle mechas, kept your hero in the back so they can like catch any leaks without engaging with the Saurian death coils. And you get like 1 necromancer in the back so they can like distract the Saurian death coils a little bit with its skeletons. And that's pretty much it. The only, like, super difficult part of this level, I'd say, is probably the Lizard King. The Lizard King is the final boss of the level, and his name is Diddy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that in the Lizardarian language. But anyways, the thing about Diddy is that he's super fast, especially for a boss. He's relatively tanky, but his main trait is that he fucking guns it down to your exit. He's fast, bro. He got the fucking Jordans on, if you know what I'm saying. And originally, I was kind of taking him for a fool. I thought that he was a weak little baby man, and that kind of caused me to ignore him for a little bit, and focus my firepower on all the little minions that he spawns. But eventually, I learned my lesson, and I started stalling him and actually putting like some units in front of him. And I almost died. I almost died when I fought him. But I managed to beat him just before he exited by making a rain of fire drop right on his head, and that ended up finishing him off. But yeah, if you're planning to fight Diddy, do not take him for a fucking fool, okay? Don't think that he's a weakling, okay? Make sure to stall him, okay? Make sure to at least put a couple of units in front of him, and make sure to use your meteor shower on him. Because if you don't, then there's a pretty high chance that he's actually just going to run through your defense and just absolutely maul you to death. The Iron and Heroic challenges were also pretty easy, but the Heroic challenge was a little bit difficult, because the thing about it is that it's absolutely imperative that you get a dwarf on this exact spot right here where I got him. Except the thing is that you're a little bit money starved in this heroic challenge, so you're going to need to hold out for quite a bit before you manage to get the dwarf and max out its lava ability. But once you do that, the level is pretty much free. You place down a couple of ranged units to take care of the flying enemies and deal a little bit of extra damage, and that's pretty much it. And as for the Iron challenge, again, it's super easy. You play it like how you would play any other cave level. You spam down a bunch of battle mechas, and they absolutely destroy everything, and that's pretty much it. The only other notable thing about this level is that there's an achievement tied to it. I mean, we already got an achievement called I'm the Lizard King for defeating Diddy, but also there's another achievement where if you catch like a little lizard that's climbing on one of the back walls, he like scurries away really fast and you get an achievement for catching him. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of myself getting the achievement because I accidentally ended up clicking on him while my camera was turned off, so that footage of the achievement is completely lost to time. But if you play the game for yourself, you should just be climbing on one of these back walls, and if you click on him, you get the achievements. It's pretty simple. But with the achievements of beating the Bonesburg mini-campaign boss and Diddy over here under our belts, we move on to the final mini-campaign of this game. Or shall I say we sail to it, because the last mini-campaign of this game takes place in the seas. But before we sail out to the 7 seas, we stop by a desert to get a couple more achievements, like an achievement for beating one of those mummy summoner enemies without them actually being able to summon any mummies. Then we get an achievement for finding a mermaid on a specific level, which takes quite a while to spawn, by the way, so it was a little bit annoying to get, but we finally managed to get to the mermaid, and it was, yeah, we got the achievements. And we also get the achievement for beating that one level early on in the desert that has like a sandworm. that eats your units periodically over the course of the level. We get an achievement for beating that level without actually letting the sandworm eat any of our units. And with those 3 new achievements under our belt, we actually move on to the final mini campaign of the game and actually do stuff and actually beat up the fish. The first level has a bunch of unique enemies, like the black surges, which can lock up your towers for a few seconds and stun them a little bit until you kill them, and they can also go under their shells if you're attacking them too much, and slide towards your exit while healing themselves, while also being impervious to damage, so they're quite a threatening enemy. And outside of that, we have like a bunch of fish-based enemies that are pretty tanky, and if they get into a combat encounter with one of your units, they throw a net over your units, which prevents your unit from attacking them. But thankfully, they still continue fighting your units, so they're still stalled, so the net doesn't end up doing all that much in the long run. And then there are just like a couple of other minor enemies here and there that appear and try to like cause a little bit of ruckus, but they fail. But yeah, in this level we end up smooth sailing through it pretty much, with the only enemy posing even a bit of a threat being the black surges. But we end up taking care of them pretty easily, especially with Chatra, who can just fucking insta-kill them and suck them up and they're gone. And we even get nice little achievements in this level for sinking 5 of these little land sea mine boats that are floating around in the background and periodically attacking our units. The Iron and Heroic challenges pose 0 threat whatsoever either, and we managed to take care of them pretty swiftly, so we're moving on to level 2 pretty quickly here, actually. The second level of the mini campaign, the Storm Atoll, brings in some pretty interesting concepts into the game, like the Shrine of Ragnos. How could I ever get those two confused? I mean, do you guys know how racist you sound when you say that all Greek gods look the same? Anyways, as I was saying, the Shrine of Ragnos, and totally not Poseidon TM, is a pretty useful tool in this little mini campaign. Because if you spend $1,500 upgrading it, it can dish out some pretty big freaking damage over a very long period of time, because it does take a long time to recharge, but once it does recharge, you have the ability to fire it at any enemy that you choose. And like I said, it does huge damage, like thousands of damage at max level. Although even at level 1, it is still pretty useful and can deal quite a huge chunk of damage out of some really tanky enemies. And you'll definitely want to use the Shrine of Ragnos in this level, because this level introduces the Bluegale fellas, which are little magician fish dudes that fucking summon a thunderstorm over all your units and pretty much insta-kill them. They do a lot of damage and all that stuff, and they're pretty tanky, so you probably want to use the Shrine of Ragnos on them. And if you don't want to use the Shrine of Ragnos on them, then that's even better, because there is an even tankier enemy introduced in this level, and that is this big old red crab. The crab not only has a lot of HP, but it deals a good chunk of damage. It's not like the most damaging enemy in the game, but it does deal a pretty good freaking chunk. And it has a ton of HP. I believe it's the healthiest enemy in the game. If I'm wrong on that, someone can correct me, but I'm pretty sure it has the most health out of any enemy in the game. And then on top of that, it also has a high defense to physical attacks, so it's 9 invulnerable, unless you use the Shrine of Ragnos or Mage Towers. So yeah, you're gonna need to stall the hell out of these dudes with some really strong units, like, well, either a lot of units or really strong units. You can either use like a ton of skeletons to block them out, or you can use a really strong hero like Ulrich, who can take a lot of hits to block them out. And then when you do that, you just slowly chip away at them with your towers. This level also introduces shark riding enemies, which, well, ride sharks, and they are pretty fast when they're on their sharks, and they can pretty much zip past your defense and get right on land. Thankfully, I consider them like pretty mid-tier enemies, so they're not too threatening once they're on land, and you can even kill them in water, and there's actually an achievement if you kill them in water. If you kill 20 shark rider enemies while they're in the water, then you get the Jaws achievement, which is pretty awesome and pretty cool. But honestly, even with all these new enemies and all these new challenges, if you use the Shrine of Ragnos and the crabs, take quick care of the blue gales, and use the help that the Black Corsair provides you, you should be able to zip past this level pretty quickly and only in a couple of tries. The Iron and Heroic challenges are a bit more threatening because they have a lot more of those crab enemies. I mean, the game just loves to spam them in the Heroic and Iron challenges. But once again, if you just max out the Shrine of Ragnos, or at least get it to level 2, and place down a couple of mage towers, and have Ulrich to, tank the enemies before they exit the map, you should be just fine. You really should not have a problem, you know? The final level is pretty much the same as level 2, but it is cranked up to 11. There are a lot more crabs, a lot more black surges, a lot more blue gales, a lot more tanky enemies, and you need really high damage really quick. And you also need to have a pretty good mix of towers. You need to have a necromancer at the end at least, because, well, those skeletons are absolutely imperative to winning the challenge. Because most enemies you can attack in this level will only be able to be attacked at the very ends of their road. Because the only choke point that you can really make is like right here, pretty much right next to the exit. So you need a lot of units to block out all the enemies that get here. And well, Necromancer helps a lot with that because, you know, his whole skeleton gang. Other than him, you should also get a bunch of mages to help even further with all the tanky enemies, especially those crabs once again. And you should also get a bunch of crossbow forts, as well as a crossbow fort right here with its big range upgrade that lets it reach a little bit into both its main lane that is protecting on the right, and that other lane a little bit that is trying its best to protect on the bottom. It's pretty much the only tower on the whole entire map that can reach both lanes, but it can only do that if you buy its range upgrade. And of course, you have to max out the Shrine of Ragnos for any tanky enemy that slips through. Now, even with that strategy, I failed plenty of times on this level because for some reason I was really adamant in using Boneheart as my hero. Because the thing about all these levels is they have a lot of water on them. And if you have like a regular ground treading hero that can't teleport or fly or anything, then they can't get to other islands outside of the one that they spawn on. The only heroes that are able to like move around islands and actually like be on top of water and shit are like the flying heroes or the teleporting heroes. And this whole water dynamic of not being able to step onto other islands wasn't really a huge deal in the previous levels, which is why I was able to use Ulrich. But in this level, it seemed like much more of a big deal. So I was really hesitant in using Ulrich, and I just used Boneheart instead, which ended up being a huge fucking mistake, because Ulrich is the GOAT, and I tried the exact same strategy with Ulrich that I was already using with Boneheart, and lo and behold, I won the level in like 2 tries. And surprisingly, the big Cthulhu squid boss enemy of the level wasn't even all that hard. The boss went down pretty easily, especially with the help of the Shrine of Ragnas. The really hard part of the level was just literally everything else, literally every other wave. But once again, like I said, Ulrich is the GOAT, so even though he couldn't really defend the other exit, he did beautifully defending the first exit. And with his help, we just won. It wasn't really that big of a challenge. Well, it was a challenge while we were using Boneheart, but with Ulrich, it was not. The Iron and Heroic challenges were pretty simple as well. The Heroic challenge I managed to beat first try. It gives you no Shrines of Ragnas, but it does replace the Shrine of Ragnas that was already there with an Archmage. And in this level, I just kind of put down a bunch of Archmages, 1 Necromancer. I used a very similar strategy to what I used in the normal level, just like minus a couple of towers. And it worked perfectly fine. I was struggling a little bit against the red crabs because I had more physical damage and I did magic. I mean, the only fucking tower that I had to actually properly deal with the red crabs was the Necromancer. It was the only magic tower that I had in the vicinity. Because everything else either had to be physical damage to deal with bluegills or barracks to just stall out the enemies. So yeah, it was a struggle. The point is that it was a struggle. But after stalling them enough with Ulrich and all the skeletons and the barracks, I thankfully managed to get off a couple of meteor showers and actually, finish them off properly and stuff. And the Necromancer actually, despite not doing that much magic damage, came in really, really clutch, especially with its poison clouds that poisoned the enemies quite a lot and did quite a lot of damage. But yeah, that was easy, and then the Iron Challenge was really, really, really fun. Because it actually gave us 3 Shrines of Ragnas, which was really awesome. I mean, the only drawback of the Shrine of Ragnas is that you can only get its attack off like once every couple dozen seconds. I'm not exactly sure how long its cooldown is, but its cooldown is like pretty freaking long. Like probably like at least 20 seconds, right? So having 3 Shrines of Ragnas and being like constantly able to fire off a bolt after a bolt after a bolt after a bolt after a bolt was really, really fun, honestly. And you still had to time them a little bit because if you fire them off all at once, all at the same time, you would just not be able to get them back in time to fire off more bolts again when you run into more trouble. So you did have to time them a little bit, but once I got that timing down, the level was really, really fun. I really love this Iron Challenge, and I really love this mini-campaign in general, too. It was really fun. Probably my favorite mini-campaign, actually, out of this whole game. I mean, the Bonesburg Rotten campaign really got soured for me after my breakup. I already told that story. The Diddy campaign was fine, but it was nothing like truly exceptional. And then this mini campaign was just great. It was just great. I really have nothing bad to say about it. Now, I'll let you guys admire this beautiful, clean, 100% completed map just for a second. before we hop right back into the action, because we're not done yet. That's right, we still have a couple of achievements left to grind out before we can call this game truly 100% completed. And most of these achievements are just little grindy achievements that are related to towers, like insta-kill a certain amount of enemies with the dwarf drill ability, or steal a certain amount of money from enemies with the assassin's money steal ability, or have your units dodge a certain amount of attacks, or cover 4 towers with the crossbow fort eagle eye ability, and so on and so on. They're just achievements that you get for doing certain things or using certain tower abilities a certain amount of times. Most of these achievements were really easy to get and not that notable. Here's all of them up on the screen right now if you're really interested in seeing them. But the one notable achievement that was really fucking annoying and really grindy to get was the Alibaba achievement. For Alibaba, basically what you had to do is upgrade your assassins, your barracks tower, to assassins, and then upgrade your assassins so that they have the ability to steal gold from enemies. And the thing about this ability is that at max level, I think you can only steal like 3 gold per hit, and it only has a chance of stealing 3 gold per hit. So your little fucking guys, your little soldiers, your little assassins, they have to hit enemies a lot of times to get the Alibaba achievement, which requires you to steal 10,000 gold from enemies. They have to hit the enemies thousands and thousands of times, and for me personally, as a guy who hasn't really used the assassins at all in this run, I was in for a fucking world of pain on this one, guys. I must have played this level that you're seeing on your screen right now at least a dozen times to get this achievement. I haven't specifically counted. I haven't actually counted how many games I played in order to get it, but it must have been a dozen. And I just had to grind the singular level over and over and over and over and over again, watching my little assassin guys get thousands of stabs in to finally get the Alibaba achievements. Now, the last achievements that we have to get are for reaching a certain wave in the endless mode of this game, and for killing a certain number of alien enemies in the endless mode of this game. And do you guys remember how at the start of the video I said that we weren't gonna be using the gem shop except for in one particular circumstance that you're gonna have to wait and see later? Well, I'm pleased to say that this is the circumstance where we're gonna spend all our gems in the gem shop and buy everything that they have and just unleash hell on this endless mode to get these last 2 achievements. So after spending all my gems on gold bags and going into the Temple of Evil, I used all my gold bags and I placed down all my towers and I lost. Yeah, I lost. I didn't even get fucking close. Yeah, well, that's kind of fucking embarrassing, innit? Yep. So anyways, after that embarrassing loss, I went on a little off-camera mining session, and I got these totally legit, totally not hacked-in diamonds that you're seeing on your screen right now. And I used them to buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gold bags and nukes and every possible tool that we could ever want in this game. And I went back into that Temple of Evil. And you best believe it was not a fucking good day to be an alien in the Temple of Evil. I mean, we just straight up committed a fucking genocide in the Temple of Evil. I mean, it is just not fair. I mean, we just unleashed a nuke after a nuke after a nuke after a nuke after a nuke on these poor aliens, a gold bag after a gold bag, and they stood absolutely no fucking chance. I mean, it was a bad day to be a fucking alien, let me tell you that. But with that finally said and done, guys, we 100%ed Kingdom Rush Frontiers. We freaking did it, Chad. I'm so freaking proud of us. And as I scroll through this achievements list to show you that I have every single achievement and I didn't like cheats or miss an achievement or anything like that, I want to take a moment to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me throughout this journey. I know that this is not the usual type of video that I would make on this channel. I mean, I'm a Roblox YouTuber, so of course it's not. You know, I'm not well known for playing games outside of Roblox, let alone 100% in games outside of Roblox, let alone playing a niche game like Kingdom Rush outside of Roblox. But if you are watching this video, and if you made it to the end, I really want to thank you. I really want to thank you for sticking with me throughout this journey, and I hope you had at least half as much fun as I did. But with that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 3 of our celebration of Kingdom Rush's 15th birthday, where I will be 100% completing Kingdom Rush Origins.